good evening, boys and girls, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, teachers, principals. Welcome to the 2018 WHRO Young Storytellers Award Show. Give yourself a big hand for being here. My name is Angie Callahan, and I'm Director of Children's Services here at WHRO, and I wanted to let everyone know we had over 400 entries this year in our PBS Kids Writers Contest. And you 13 in the front row, you are the best. So we're delighted that you're here, and you'll get a chance to meet all of these wonderful young people in just a few moments. But first, I'd like to call up our CEO and our president, Bert Schmidt.
You know, this is the first year that we have added this environmental element to the Young Storytellers Contest through the Batten Environmental Education Initiative. So there's a whole new category. So all of you who are in that category, so you'll be first-time winners. So congratulations on that. You may have noticed when you walked in the building, in the hallway, you saw your stories in the hallway. Those stories will be up for the full next year. Until we do this again next year, they are up. So people throughout the community, when they come into WHRO, they're going to see your stories. Gabby wrote an amazing story about wolves in a forest fire, but your artwork, I have to tell you, when the judges were looking at the stories, they actually called me down from my office to show me your artwork. And then some of the artists, we have people who, for a living, work at WHRO that draw for a living. You can make money, you can have a career drawing, and I have to tell you, I hope you continue with your drawing because it was amazing work, probably the best I've seen in all my years of these stories. So Gabby, thank you for that amazing artwork. And one story, and no one's ever done this before, so I don't normally do this to call out one story in particular, but William, would you just stand for a moment? And with the Avengers, they have, they have the Iron Man movie, then they have the Thor movie, then the Black Panther movie, and then they've had these movies, they bring them all together. William did that with PBS Kids. William brought Curious George, Nature Cat, Wild Kratts, Odd Squad, and Ready, Jet, Go, all into one story. So I think you've got a new trend here. You got a screenplay maybe for a PBS Kids story movie coming up. So thank you for that. And William, because of that, because you were clearly a WHRO fan, I want to give you my pin. That is for you for being such a fan of WHRO. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I had the great pleasure of reading these stories today. You're going to have the great pleasure of hearing them with Angie. So enjoy the evening. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do for these kids. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bert. Are you ready to get this going? Yeah. All right. Kindergarten first place, Abigail Gage. Abigail's story is Big Ant Destroys, and she's from Achilles Elementary in Hayes, Virginia. That's in Gloucester County. So there was a big ant in your story, right? Right. And what did that big ant like to do?
Destroy tall buildings.
But there was a little ant in your story, and what did that little ant think about that?
Try to stop him.
So how did the little ant manage to stop the big ant?
Get more little ants.
So she got a bunch of her little ant friends, right? Because she wanted them to have a place to live, right? So did it work? Yeah. How did they get the big ant off the building?
They pulled on him.
And then what did they tell him?
Never do it again.
And did he go away? He went away and they all lived happily ever after? All right. Thank you, Abigail. That was a wonderful story. First place kindergarten story for the environmental stories is McKinley Meter. Her story is The Rainbow Fossil. Your story starts out, and it's a dinosaur, isn't it? And there's this dinosaur in this museum, and all of a sudden, what happened? The dinosaur
Came alive.
And so he had a name then. What was his name?
Rainbow.
So Rainbow Fossil had come to life, and Rainbow Fossil, though, really wanted to do something. What did Rainbow Fossil want to do?
Sing and dance.
But he was having trouble with it. What did he have to do?
Use his brain to help him. That he just had to practice.
So he practiced, and he practiced a lot, didn't he? He practiced
Yeah.
in different parts of the museum.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he saw that some of the other fossils were also alive, right?
Yeah.
And so what did they say?
They said that they wanted to watch the rainbow sing and dance.
And so did Rainbow sing and dance for him?
Yes.
And they had a really good rockin' time?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what happened?
In the next morning, they became fossils again.
Yeah, so they were back to being fossils, but they had a fun night of
Yeah.
music and dance, right? Okay, well, thank you for that great story. Our first grade first place winner in our regular contest was my Kapoor. Her story is Wendy Waffle Goes to Breakfast School, and she's from Cape Henry Collegiate in Virginia Beach. This is a great story and cute artwork. When I turned the first page, there was this Wendy Waffle with this cute bow in her hair, and I thought, oh, isn't that cute? But later in this story, she gets some people not liking that bow so much, so it surprised me as well. Well, she went to breakfast school, right? Well, she was liking school pretty well, and then she went out for recess, right? And when she was out for recess, what happened?
Molly Milk said, "My bow is prettier than yours."
And that made her feel sad, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't very nice. And then she went to art class, right? And Ella Egg was there. And what did Ella Egg say to her?
"I'm a better painter than you."
Yeah, she was doing swans, and Wendy was just doing a flower, right? So Wendy was more sad, even more sad. And then old Bailey Bacon had some things to say when they were talking about their letters, right?
Yeah.
What did he say?
"I know I'm smarter than you."
And he said he knew all the letters all the way to Z, right?
Yeah.
So Wendy was pretty unhappy and pretty upset, but she didn't say anything to the teacher about it. She went home and talked to her mom. And what did her mom say?
Just talk to them.
To talk to them about it. So she started doing that, didn't she? And the teacher saw her doing that. And what did the teacher do?
Give her a kindness medal.
Yeah, so Wendy Waffle ended up with the kindness medal because she was saying, let's talk about things, right?
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, what a nice story. Thank you, sweetie. Our first grade first place winner in the environmental category was Eliza Julian with The Scary Bird in the Jungle. And Eliza's from Portsmouth Catholic. This scary bird, he kept doing something. What did he keep doing all the time?
Making noise.
He was making noise pollution, right? And he thought everybody loved it. He did it in the morning, he did it at night, but people didn't like it, did they? No. And so he scared a wolf and some chicks, and what did he realize finally?
He realized when he scared people, he had little friends.
Yeah, not as many friends. So what is the moral of your story?
Is to be nice.
Yeah, and that's what we should all be, right? Well, what a nice story. Our second grade first place is William Holton, and his story is George's Adventure from Hermitage Elementary in Virginia Beach. William, I've told a lot of people about your story already, and I'm actually going to send it to some of my friends at PBS because they're going to be floored when they see it. Well, let's talk about the story a little bit. So it starts out, Curious George, he hears a rustling in the bush, and who is that?
Nature Cat.
And what did Nature Cat want to do?
He wanted to go to outer space.
Yeah, so they started walking, and what did they find?
The Tortuga HQ in a meadow.
Right, and who lives there?
Chris and Martin.
Yeah, the Crab Brothers. So they thought maybe they might that the Crab Brothers might have a space pod, right? So they go in headquarters there, and they go down in the basement, and what do they find?
A space pod behind the Hippo sub.
Well, then the Crab Brothers come back to headquarters, and what do they think?
They find the basement door open, and then they go down, and a space pod is missing.
And who did they call for help?
Jet.
Jet from Ready, Jet, Go. And so Jet brought his mom and Sunspot. And I love how you describe their vehicle. Can you tell people what their vehicle is?
A van/flying saucer.
Right, it's a van slash flying saucer. All right, so Jet zooms off, and they're looking for him, and they look for him on the moon, and they look for him on Jupiter. They weren't there. Where did they find them?
Mars.
So they find him on Mars, but can they get him back?
No.
So they have to call another friend. Who did they have to call then?
Odd Squad.
And Odd Squad always has the gadget. So what kind of gadget did they need?
The Bring Backinator.
The Bring Backinator. So the Bring Backinator brought him back, and then at the end, they all had a party. All the PBS Kids characters had a party and celebrated that they were back, right?
Right.
Well, I know for sure you are a PBS kid, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much, William. All right, we're up to second grade first place in the environmental category, and it's Adam Puthoff, and his story is Al Learns to Recycle. He's from Portsmouth Catholic. Your story, Al and his friend Squirrel were playing catch, right?
Yeah.
And so they're outside, they're good friends, they're playing catch. They decide to do something else. What did they decide to do?
Draw outside.
I guess neither one of them really liked their pictures, right? No.
Yeah.
So Al, what did he do with his picture?
He threw it on the ground.
What about Squirrel?
He threw it in the recycling bin.
And Al's mother was up in the tree, and she saw this, didn't she?
Yep.
And so who did she enlist to help her?
Dr. Turtle.
Al had an appointment with him the next day, and Al's mother said, please teach him about recycling, right?
Yep.
And so what did Dr. Turtle tell Al?
Dr. Turtle said recycling is important for the environment and that you can turn soda cans into playgrounds.
So did Al like that? Did he like that idea?
Yes.
And did he decide he would recycle so that other kids could have playgrounds?
Yep.
Yep. Well, that was a great story and something for us all to remember to always recycle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Third grade first place in our regular contest was Grayson Hinch. Grayson's story is Plants versus Cheese Ball. It's about time. And Grayson goes to school at Larchmont Elementary here in Norfolk. Why did you decide to write this story?
Because when I was doing it, I was thinking about my least favorite food, cheese. So I was thinking of like stuff that's environmental, so like something that you don't want like around with litter.
Right.
So that's what I did.
Okay, and I understand he hates cheese balls, right? Well, in your story, the story is set in Plant City, right? Mm-hmm. And there's Ghost Pepper, and there's Jocko, and the sunflowers, right? Mm-hmm. And they're all getting ready for Halloween, so they're all happy, and it's going to be a fun time. And then what do they hear on the news?
That there's a bunch of cheese balls heading towards Earth.
So people at Plant City asked for their help, right? So they went to find the Rose Queen, right?
Yep.
And on their way to find the Rose Queen, because she lived in the woods, all three of them fell down different portals, right? Mm-hmm. So Jacko's portal, what was in Jacko's portal?
A string with strawberry candy.
And then what about in sunflowers? Sunflowers.
I think it was blueberry.
It was blueberry that smelled like gooey icing, right? Yeah. From Sunflower's birthday party. And then Sunflower, she fell into the lemon lime portal. And what was in there?
Lemon lime soda.
Yeah, and it's please steal a sip. So once they got through their portals, they saw a sign. And what did that sign say?
Crash site for cheese balls.
Ooh, crash site. So they hurried to the Rose Castle, and they found the Rose Queen, and she thought they were trick-or-treating, didn't she? And they go, no, this asteroid, this cheese ball asteroid's coming, it's going to hit the Earth. And so she went and got her magic ball to find out when it was going to happen, right? And what did she find out when she looked in the ball?
It was coming right now.
So she had some magic. And what was that magic she was able to do?
She was able to shield the whole world.
And so the cheese ball asteroid didn't hit Earth after all, right?
Yep.
And they all went back, and what did they do?
Trick or treat.
And went trick-or-treating. Okay, well, that was a cute story, Grayson. Our third grade first place in the environmental category is Gabriella Chambers, Alone in the Fire. She's from Larchmont Elementary. You are a fabulous artist, young lady.
Thanks.
I loved the pictures are stunning. I was really, really impressed with your work. And the story, too. So this Alone in the Fire story, it starts out and it's about a family of wolves. One of them is kind of, unruly and adventurous? Playful.
Curious.
playful and curious, and his name was Midnight, right?
Uh-huh.
So they'd all gone into their den to sleep for the night, and a storm came up.
Uh-huh.
And they knew something was wrong in their forest.
There was lightning struck a tree and caused a fire.
And all of the animals were fleeing away, and the wolf family, they decided that Mom would take one pup and the Dad would take the other, and Midnight was just going to trot along behind, right?
Uh-huh.
But what happened?
The animals that were fleeing pushed him into the rapids.
And what happened when he got in the rapids?
He knew he was in trouble because he couldn't fight the current.
Then all of a sudden the animals were getting tagged by humans and put in cages, weren't they?
By rescuers.
Yeah, but they were rescuers, right? The wolf family, minus Midnight, were put in a cage together, right?
Uh-huh.
And then eventually Midnight did wash up, didn't he, on the shore? And he was still alive. He had made it. And what happened then?
A human found him because he washed up a riverbank and it was next to camp. So a human found him and brought him back to camp and then tagged him into a cage.
Right, but he was still sad and he was worn out from all of that fighting the rapids. So he started howling and crying, didn't he?
Uh-huh.
And what happened then?
And then the wolf family, rest of it, they actually answered him and then they started talking. And the rescuers noticed it and reunited them.
And then they took all the animals and took them to a new forest, right?
Uh-huh.
And let them out in the new forest. And what did the wolf family think about that?
They thought that they didn't care where they lived as long as they were together.
That's right. That's what families are all about, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, that was a great story. Our fourth grade first place is Chelsea Espada, and her story is The Kindness Tree. She goes to Riverside Elementary in Newport News. Your story is a fairy tale, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So in Chelsea's story, she has a princess named Lauren, and Lauren has this sort of boyfriend, but he's a prince, and he's handsome, but there's something she doesn't like about him. And what is that?
That he's rude.
And so he asked her to marry him, and what did she say?
She said no.
But she had an idea. She decided that she would go talk to the wizard, and she asked him for a seed. And why did she want a seed?
So she could plant it in the ground and make these kindness apples that will make people do nice things.
Right, and so she offered him a place at the palace in a lab, and so the wizard was like, okay, that sounds pretty good, right? So he whipped up the seeds and brought them to her, and she planted them, and what happened the next morning?
The next morning she found a tree in the royal garden with all the golden apples all over it.
And those golden apples, she went right out and picked some, and then what did she do?
She made an apple pie.
So she decided she'd go to the prince, to where he lived, and offer him some pie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did he say?
He said yes.
So he took a big bite of the apple pie, and then what happened?
He started doing nice things for the whole kingdom.
And what happened when he asked her to marry him again?
Then she said yes.
All right, that's the way you do it, guys. Be nice, right? Be kind. Well, that's a cute story. Thanks so much. In fourth grade, in our environmental category, we have a tie. We're going to ask Eli Casey to come up first. And Eli's story is My Plan to Save the Earth. So in your story, Eli likes to make things, doesn't he? He likes to do things like that. And one morning he woke up and he saw somebody littering and it bothered him, didn't it?
Yes.
And so what did he decide to do?
He decided to invent a group of robots that would help the environment.
Right. And he invented these out of recycled things, right?
Yes.
So the first one he invented was the trash compactor, right?
Yes.
And can you tell him about the trash compactor? What was he made out of?
He was made out of a garbage can, recycled metal, glass, sharp pieces of aluminum, and a couple bits of silverware for its teeth. And then it had a little furnace as an old microwave and a car tire as its wheel and a couple dead light bulbs that were rewired to make headlights.
And he shows it off to everybody, and they say, okay, right? So
Yeah.
he makes some more. So can you tell us about some of the other ones he made?
Well, he makes a water purifying one, an air pollution cleaner robot, and a toxic waste cleanup robot.
The best one is the last one he made. Johnny Appleseed 3000?
Yes.
And what did Johnny Appleseed 3000 do?
Plants, trees, and grows food for
Right.
people.
He's a pretty good robot there.
Yeah.
So do you think that that all of these robots are going to make a difference?
Yeah, I think they could.
Right. I think they could too. And I think you've got a future, young man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Our other first place winner in 4th grade in the environmental contest is Karma Robinson. And her story is Adventures of Gina and Derek, Frostbite, and the Global Warmer. She goes to Kiptopeke Elementary in Cape Charles. So your characters in your story, it's set in Maine, right? And it's cold. And they feel, well, Jenna feels like she has frostbite, right? Because it's so cold. So they're inside, they're watching TV, and they see this book they want to order. So they go to their parents and they say, please, let us have this book. We'll do anything, we'll wash dishes. And so did the parents let them have the book, order the
Yes.
book? And now in that book was a map, right? And so the map, where did the map first lead them?
It first led them to a Arctic pond that froze up and started to melt, and they had to hop across it without falling into the water. And there was a big ice monster chasing them, so it made it more difficult.
But they made it through that part, didn't they? And then they landed in the drought area, right? And what were they not allowed to do there?
The water glasses that were placed all around the drought.
They couldn't have any water, right? Right. And once they got through that challenge, Poof appeared, right? And who was Poof?
He was like a little purple monster that it wasn't really a monster, but
He was a helper, right? Yeah, he was a helper. So, because they wanted to go to the global warmer, right?
yeah.
But they still had one more challenge, and that was going to be their hard challenge because they were going to be timed, and every minute that ticked away before they got through that challenge, the sea level rose. So they had to be quick on that answer, right? Yeah. Well, they get to the global warmer, and they're like, how does this work? And they thought they had turned the temperature up, right? But what did they not know?
They didn't know that Mother Nature was in the global warmer and Poof was helping her.
And what did Mother Nature say to them?
She said she talked to them about the global warming and all of that would happen every day if it was warmer in winter.
So she said, you don't really want that, do you? And they said, nah, they go back home, right? But she gave them a ride, right? What did Mother Nature give them a ride in?
It was like a leaf helicopter.
So Mother Nature has a leaf helicopter, and she took them back home, right? Right. Well, thank you very much for that great story. Our 5th grade first place winner is Ryan Flournoy. It's One More Chance, and she goes to Akahannock Elementary in Exmoor. So your story starts out, though, it says, it was dark and it smelled like bleach. Yeah. And why was that?
He was in the SPCA, and it wasn't as good of a life as living with a home and a family.
Right, and he'd been there for about 6 months, and he'd seen some of his other friends be adopted. Why was it that he felt nobody wanted him?
He's different than most dogs. He's about like 3.5 legs.
This family was sticking around, and they were talking, and the first thing he knew, he saw what?
He saw
The leash?
Yeah, and then they go outside next, and he's just so happy that someone's finally with him and he's getting attention.
Yeah, and then they got in the car, and they were driving along, and he was scared in the car, right? And what happened in the car?
He threw up everywhere.
And he felt so bad about that, didn't he? Yeah, but he said they didn't seem to mind.
No
They were
worries.
just happy for him that he was coming home with them. So they put him out in the big yard with the fence, but he wanted something else. What did he want?
He wanted to go in the house. He was so excited.
So he's like, I don't want to just be out in this yard. I want to go in the big house, right? And so he goes in and he sees another dog and a couple cats and the mom. And so what did he think once he was inside the house?
He was so worried, and then once he got used to it, he thought this could be his forever home. This might be his chance.
Yeah, and he likes the food. He liked the food there. But he did have still one little bitty problem.
The family traveled a lot, and he still had to go in the kennel for like a couple days, but he was fine with that.
Because he knew he had
Yeah.
a place to go. So he has a really good life after all,
Yes.
right? Okay. Well, that's a great story. And you don't tell the dog's name in the story, but you want to tell everybody what the dog's
His
name
name
is?
is Griffin.
Griffin. So, and Griffin lives with you?
Yes.
So thank you, and thank you for adopting Griffin. Our 5th grade first place in the environmental category is Victoria Luna. Her story is Recycling, and she's from Hermitage Elementary in Virginia Beach. And your story has 4 girls in it, right? Let me see if I can remember. It's Luna and Pandora and Lily and Paige. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so those 2 of them were older, and they're friends, and the younger girls are their sisters, right?
Yes.
So the older girls were reading and doing crafts, and the younger girls were having a tea party. And what happened after the tea party?
Lily went to throw away plastic bottles, but Luna was up in the treehouse then, and she told Lily not to throw away them.
Right, and so she's like, well, why? Why shouldn't I throw this away, right? So what did she try to describe to her little sister?
Luna and Pandora described why she shouldn't throw those bottles away and that she should recycle them instead.
Right, that plastic can last forever and could be made into other things, right?
Yes.
So the older girls decided to do something about making some recycled art, right? And what did they make?
They made vases for the girls. They helped them.
And the younger girls took them in for show and tell because they were in the same class, right?
Yes.
And so what happened after that?
Their class made a recycling crafts class for each Thursday.
And so they made all kinds of things out of recycled materials. So what do you think the girls learned through this whole process?
I think they learned why they should recycle and what they could do with the recycling and the impact.
And I understand the first graders, they all got 100% on their science grade at the end of the school year, right?
Yes.
And their teacher told the older girls' teacher that they should get extra credit in science, right, for teaching the recycling class, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, very good. And would you like to share, you said you have some people the story was written about. Mm-hmm. And who are they?
Pandora was based on Lydia, my friend, and Lily was based on Claudia, my sister.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for that great story and reminding all of us to recycle. Thank you. Let's give our fine winners one more round of applause. I want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight and hearing all of these wonderful stories. And I want to thank you for watching. We'll be back next year with the 2019 Young Storytellers Award Show.